It is up to you to start the adventure, whether you are prepared or not. Are you stepping into the role of a victim, or are you embracing the profound responsibility of steering your own life? Many of us are merely existing rather than truly living. The victim mentality can be subtle, weaving itself into various aspects of our lives. Once you grasp the essence of this chapter, you'll gain a deeper understanding of how to navigate fear. The notion of taking full responsibility for your life may not be entirely new to you. You've likely heard the call to take responsibility many times before. Yet, I am convinced that true understanding of this concept remains elusive for many. For those of us who pride ourselves on independence, responsibility might seem like securing a job, earning our own keep, and avoiding reliance on others. But there is so much more to it. Consider this. I have encountered individuals who, despite their external independence, still grapple with the deeper meaning of personal responsibility. Is he truly taking responsibility for his life? Not in the least. Then there's Mara, who appears to have it all: a successful career, a beautiful home, and a circle of friends and lovers. Yet she remains fixated on her ex-husband and his perceived wrongdoings. Her grievances about his lack of support and her son's accusations of selfishness dominate her thoughts. Despite her outward success, is she truly owning her experience of life? Again, the answer is no. True responsibility involves a deeper, more profound awareness. It's about recognizing that your experience of life is shaped by your responses, not by external circumstances. It's about moving beyond the superficial and engaging with the true essence of personal empowerment and growth. I know many single or divorced people who are constantly complaining about their ex-husbands or ex-wives, their bosses, their loneliness, the lousy singles scene, and so on. I know many married people who are constantly lamenting about their children, their lack of money, their lack of communication with their spouses, and so on. Are any of them really taking responsibility for their experience of life? Not at all. They are all in some way playing the role of victim. They have given their power to someone or something else. Keep in mind that when you give away your power, you move farther and farther to the left side of the power chart. As a result, you become paralyzed in your attempts to deal with fear. On a more obvious level, if you're in a job you hate, if you're single and you want to be married, if you're in a lousy relationship and want to get out, if your daughter is making you gray before your time, and if, generally speaking, nothing seems to go the way you want it to go, you are also playing the role of victim. No wonder you feel fearful. Victims are powerless. The truth is that you really are in control, total control. For some reason, you are consciously or unconsciously choosing to be in that lousy job. You are choosing to hate the single life. You are choosing to stay in a destructive relationship. You are choosing to let your daughter drive you crazy. You are choosing to sabotage anything good in your life, or whatever else it may be for you. I know it is difficult to accept the fact that you are the cause of the feelings that take away your joy in life. It is very upsetting when you begin to see yourself as your own worst enemy. On the other hand, this realization is your biggest blessing. If you know you can create your own misery, it stands to reason that you can also create your own joy. Since taking responsibility for your experience of life is an elusive concept, I will explain the components of a more powerful way of living. You note that I have been careful not to ask you to believe that you are responsible for all your experiences in life. Although there are some who would argue that you are, rather, I ask you to believe that you are the cause of all your experiences of life. This means that you are the cause of your reactions to everything that happens to you. As you read the following 7 definitions of taking responsibility, keep remembering that whenever you are not taking responsibility, you put yourself in a position of pain and hence decrease your ability to handle the fear in your life. Taking full responsibility means relinquishing the habit of blaming anyone else for what you are experiencing, whether it's your actions, feelings, or circumstances. It's about letting go of the excuses like, it's his fault, she did this, the boss is to blame, my son's behavior is the problem, the economy is holding me back, my mother's influence, and my father's shortcomings, or my friend's actions. And if there's anyone or anything I haven't mentioned, simply ADD it to the list. The truth is, as long as you place the responsibility for your life outside of yourself, you remain a passive participant in your own story. True empowerment begins when you recognize that you alone are the architect of your inner world. Here are a few examples from my classes that illustrate the journey towards greater personal power. These individuals had to confront certain questions before they could move from a place of limitation to a more empowered state of being. Madeline, well, it certainly was my husband's fault that the last 25 years of my life have been so miserable. Why did you choose to stay? Why couldn't you take in any of the nice things he did for you instead of only finding fault? Why are you so filled with anger that he finds it impossible to communicate with you? David, well, it certainly was my son's fault that I have gray hair from worrying about him. Why didn't you believe that he would find his own way? Why did you always need to rescue him? Why did you make him so much an extension of yourself that you expected too much from him? Why couldn't you just let him be who he is? Tony, well, it certainly is the fault of the job market that I'm stuck in this lousy job. Why can't you see that others are finding jobs even if the job market is so poor? Why are you not creating more satisfaction in the job you already have? Why aren't you even trying to find a new job? Why are you not asking for what you want in the job you are already in instead of constantly complaining that nothing is right? Why aren't you committed to doing the best you can do? Alice, well, it certainly is my children's fault that I'm not moving ahead in a career. Why haven't you noticed that others with children are going ahead with their careers and that their children are doing fine? Why haven't you taken up your husband's offer to help you with the kids if you want to work? Why haven't you made any effort to gain some skills that would really help you get a job you would love? If you are feeling some pain from identifying with any of the stories above, good. It simply pinpoints an area on which you have to work. The point to remember is that when you blame any outside force for any of your experience of life, you're literally giving away all your power and thus creating pain, paralysis, and depression. Taking responsibility is not about casting blame on yourself. It's about reclaiming your inner power and joy. This might seem contradictory, but it's crucial to understand. Anything that robs you of your power or your pleasure places you in the role of a victim. So don't let yourself be a victim of your own making. For many, this is even more challenging than blaming others. When you become aware of how you've contributed to your own unhappiness, there's a tendency to self-critique and diminish your self-worth. You might find yourself saying, I'm messing up my life again, I'm hopeless, when will I ever learn? This is not true responsibility. It's essential to recognize that you've always done the best you could with the knowledge and awareness you had at any given time. Now that you're opening up to a new perspective, you can start to see things differently and change your actions. There is no need to be harsh on yourself for past, present, or future behaviors. Every experience is simply a part of your journey from pain to power, and this transition takes time. Be patient with yourself. There's no need for self-reproach. While you may acknowledge that you've contributed to your unhappiness, it's important to remember that self-blame is not the answer. You're on a path toward greater self-fulfillment, and it's a process of growth and learning. True responsibility involves recognizing where you're not fully owning your life so you can make changes. I, too, spent years realizing that I played the victim most often in relationships. I recall countless evenings spent complaining to friends about the men in my life, each one adding to my sense of frustration. They were always late, stingy, or otherwise unsatisfactory. I harbored anger and resentment, and my friends, similarly discontented, became my sounding board. we formed a cycle of lamenting our troubles, feeding off each other's grievances. In doing so, we avoided the responsibility of creating our own happiness and instead laid the blame on others. During this time, I was certain I was taking responsibility for my life, just like my friend Mara. I was making a wonderful living. I had a great apartment. I was totally independent, but I wasn't taking responsibility for my life. I was still expecting the men in my life to make me happy. I finally learned there is really only one person in the world who can make me happy, and that is me. Ironically, only through this realization was I able for the first time to have a wonderfully nurturing relationship. Now I know that when I'm angry at my husband, I simply have to ask myself what I am not doing in my life that I could be doing, that I am blaming him for not doing for me. Read that one again. Read. Y'all, I am now quickly able to tune into what it is. Either I'm being obsessive about money, or I'm feeling insecure, or I'm not creating enough activity for myself, or I'm expecting him to make things better, or whatever. Once I realize what I am doing, I can get into the act of correcting it. As I correct what needs to be handled in my life, all my anger toward others disappears. My daughter Leslie recently commented on how fantastic my marriage is. Yes, I said. It's amazing how perfect Mark becomes when I stop expecting him to handle my life. This is not to say that you aren't entitled to have your basic needs met by your partner. You need to be supported in your growth. You need to be nurtured at times. To be nurtured at, you need to know there is caring on your spouse's part about when you are not handling your life. No amount of caring and nurturing is enough. You become a bottomless pit. The man in your life could stand on his head for you, as some of the men in my life tried to do, but it is never enough. I might add that if someone is not supplying your basic needs to be nurtured and loved, certainly you would serve yourself by leaving. But first, you must ask yourself, is it that she is so terrible? Or is it simply that I am not taking responsibility for my experience of life? If you are satisfied that you simply do not choose to spend your life with this person, then it is also taking responsibility to move on with the intention of finding a more compatible partner. Now, one clue that you are truly taking responsibility is when you feel little or no anger toward this person. You realize that you chose to be there in the past and you are now choosing to leave. Nothing is the other's fault. She is doing the best she can given her level of personal growth. Anger is your clue that you are not taking responsibility. A relationship with another person is just one dimension where you might relinquish your personal power. It's vital to extend this self-examination to all facets of your life to uncover where you might not be taking full responsibility. Look for signs such as anger, impatience, frustration, a lack of joy, or feelings of blame. Other indicators might include fatigue, pain, attempts to control others, lack of focus, obsessive behaviors, self-pity, addictions, envy, judgment, helplessness, disappointment, or a constant feeling of being stuck. This list is by no means exhaustive, but it gives you a sense of where to look. Whenever you experience any of these emotions or states, take a moment to reflect on what might be missing in your approach to life that's contributing to these feelings. You might be surprised at how revealing this self-inquiry can be, showing you areas where you've been avoiding responsibility. Taking responsibility also involves addressing the chatterbox, the inner voice that can drive you to distraction and often does. Many of us are unaware of this incessant voice until we become consciously attuned to it. But understanding and managing this inner dialogue is crucial, for it holds the key to overcoming your deepest fears and transforming your experience of life. It's the voice that heralds doom, lack, and losing. We're so used to its presence, we often don't even notice it is talking to us. If you are not aware of your chatterbox, it sounds something like this. If I call him, maybe he'll think I'm too pushy. But maybe if I don't call him, he'll think I'm not interested. But if I call him and his message machine is on, I'll wonder where he is, and it will ruin my whole evening because I'll know he is out with another woman. But if I don't call, I'll wonder anyway. Maybe I shouldn't go out tonight. He might call, and then he'll think I'm out with someone else, and he'll think I don't care. But if I call, he'll really know I'm interested, and he'll probably start backing away from me. I wonder why he hasn't called. Maybe I was too cool this afternoon when I bumped into him at lunch. Maybe I should have been warmer. I wish I'd been wearing something more attractive. I looked so fat in this outfit, and my makeup was terrible, eh? He seemed a little cruel. I wonder if it was because he heard I went out with Alan the other night. Well, I don't think he should expect me to sit home every night and wait for him to call. He has a lot of nerve if he expects that. The next time I see him, I'll ask him why he hasn't called. We were supposed to go to the movies this week, and he didn't even remember. I'm going to confront him with his lack of responsibility. I won't be judgmental, but I'll certainly let him know how I feel. Or this. I'm really angry at my boss for not including me in the meeting this morning. He really doesn't appreciate all the work I do for him. The others spend their day loafing and they get invited to the meeting. Maybe I'll try loafing and see if he likes that better. It really doesn't pay to give your all to a job you never get rewarded for. All the hard work just pays to be a big manipulator like all the rest. An honest hard worker is just not appreciated anymore. I'll show him. I'll look around for another job, but the job market is so lousy right now, I'd never find anything. I wish I had completed my master's degree, and then I'd have a better chance. I'm really stuck here. No one is hiring people over 40 anymore. It's all in who you know. If my parents had had money, I would have been able to socialize with people who have some clout. I really feel used. I can't believe they excluded me from the meeting. Who does he think he is? This kind of thing always happens to me. No wonder so many of us hate being alone and can't be in a room without turning on the radio or television for company. Anything to escape such insanity. Be assured that this insanity seems to be an unavoidable phase in the growth process. We were all victims of our chatterboxes at some point in our lives.